What's going on, everybody? I'm Trace, and today we're going to be taking a look at Fortnite best controller sensitivity and inputs that you can have in 2024. First thing we're going to look at is the inputs. We're just going to run through these. I've always been a Call of Duty player for the longest time, so for me, I did custom, and then I lay out my button layout similar to how I would in Call of Duty with X to jump. I got the R to crouch and slide. The right 3 is technically what it's called with the controller. And then you got the left one. And it's all highlighted over here to the right, which one I'm hovering over as well. And instead of firing with the bumpers, I'm going to be firing, well, with the triggers, I'll be firing with the bumpers up top. For Xbox, it's a little bit more feasible to use the R2 and L2 for firing and targeting because Xbox controller seems to be a little bit more ergonomical for that and set up for that. Whereas if you're on a PlayStation controller, you're probably going to want to put this to R1 and L1. It seems to work better. Of course, if you're used to it, you're used to it, and it's not a big deal. I got square to reload, next weapon, and previous weapon are going to be R2 and L2. Pretty simple there. To get to my harvesting tool, it's going to be triangle. And then I got like augments and stuff like that to my right D-pad, and I got my marker to my up D-pad. This is for like Warzone, right? That's how I got used to that one. I have nothing over here. I can't get the quick weapon to work. I wouldn't mind trying it, but I just haven't had it working yet. Every time I go to add a button that I want it to be, my game freezes, so I just gave up. I've never messed with the building stuff. I don't really care. I'm going down to miscellaneous, so of course you can see I have this as the whole pad as my map. I got inventory down on the D-pad, and I got R2 and L2 to zoom in and out of the map when you have it in full screen. And place and remove pin I have up on the D-pad. I usually just use the X button to pin when I'm on the big map. Riding, I just have square to dismount and sprint, just like you would normally sprint when you're on the ground. I don't have any gyro, and then of course you have this, and I don't do any of that. So going into what a lot of people are probably going to be the most interested in. So starting out with input controller, auto run, that's going to be on. Again, the build stuff I don't care about. Slide hold time, I put that all the way down. I want to make sure that when I hit the button slide that I'm going to slide. And then this I just kind of leave there on pitch. Reset camera, I just leave that in the default that it was. For vibration, I would always recommend turning this off. There's people that play with vibration on. I do not know how they do it. So going down to sensitivity, I have the advanced options enabled, as you can see here. I would recommend, if you don't really care that much, to just kind of keep it on like 5.5 or 4.4. And I would recommend also keeping them somewhat similar. I turn the advanced options on. Now, it will give you a warning, like be sure you know what you're doing, be very careful when you do this. The biggest thing to be careful about is to make sure that when you're looking at each one of these categories that you're reading what's over here on the right and understanding it as well. So for the look horizontal speed, this is going to be something that I would recommend when you're messing with all of this, that you're going into a private match by yourself and you're just kind of messing around a little bit and get it to where you feel. Everything's going to more or less just come down to how it feels for you. Some people might like it ramped all the way up, and other people might like it all the way down, and it's just going to be on what you specifically want. But what I do recommend is trying to keep your horizontal and vertical the same. What the boost does is when you turn it on, and you can read it here to the right, and I'll read it real quick, is an additional left and right rotation speed applied when the controller's right stick is fully deflected. Using boost allows for quicker turns while maintaining look precision. Set to 0% to disable horizontal boost. So what this is saying, for those that don't understand, when you put the analog stick down, instead of, let's say you're turning this fast, that's what you have it set to, it's going to give you that added boost, so you're turning a little bit faster, right? It's like hitting NOS on your car. You're going to go a little bit faster. Doesn't mean you go that fast all the time, but it gives you a little bit faster. The reason I don't touch this is because it's kind of going back to keeping like these the same, and it can be good if you really want to try to master what you're doing here in the sensitivity settings. But at the point that I'll have the boost turned on, I would just find it easier and more efficient to just mess with the sensitivities right here. Finding the boost on, I feel that that just means that I need my overall sensitivity to just go up in general. Going into the advanced aim down sights settings, this is where we want the advanced settings on, because then we can do stuff like this a little bit more fine-tuned. And then I currently have this at 14%. It feels just a touch fast, actually. So I'm going to turn it down to 13%. A lot of people will recommend about 10% here and about 40% up here. But for me personally, I'm putting it at 30 and 13. I'm probably going to change on what you pick up more. If you're more of a sniper, you're probably going to want this to be turned down a little bit, because then you can get those more fine-tuned snipes. But if you're somebody that's in close range a lot, you might want to keep this more turned up because you're doing a lot of quick turning back and forth. And again, these have the boost options and we've already been through those. I just keep them all off. I have mine at 0.2. So this one here, it has linear and exponential. Defines input from the controller's right stick is processed. Linear uses the raw stick, so that means the inputs that you're putting is going to be exact. Exponential causes a smaller stick movement to have less of an effect. A little bit more of a buffer that if you're accidentally hitting the analog stick, that it's not going to always get input. That can be good for like sniping, but it can be bad for close range when you need to get those quick movements. I just leave it to linear. And then, of course, if you're on controller, you're going to want your aim assist to be 100%. I don't know why you would want it any lower. Controller dead zone. This is something I do mess with a little bit depending on the controller I have. Right now I have it at 10%. If your controller is starting to go bad, I mean, eventually you'd probably want to get another controller. But if your dead zone is really bad, of course you're going to want to turn it up. This you don't have to keep even. This is going to be completely dependent on each analog stick and how much drift it actually has. And so I would recommend keeping it as low as you possibly can without having your controller move at all automatically, because that's what drift will do, and that will make your shots off as well.
Footsteps.
Yeah, I see them. Coming in beside you, yeah.
Yep, it's those guys again. I'm dead. They're both pushing you.
Yep.
You ready? Here comes the second one. Nice. Did you get them both?
Yep.
You psychopath. We're killing the boss and I'm enjoying it.
Glad I got it done.
Ow,
I hit him.
ow.
58 blue. He's white. He's knocked.
Nice. Kelby, no way that was the same guy from last game, right? I swear to God, it's a...
It happens a lot when you can just ready up and get right back into the game. Just
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is. Get shit on, pussy!
well, I guess they can win one, but they can't win two.